repeated injustice against our people. We're not left and we're not right. We are what we said we are.
While Johnson says the group is not political, he himself ran for president back in 2016 as an independent candidate. He says this movement is about justice and not revenge. The key being justice operates within the confines of the law. And he says he insists on the NFAC being a law-abiding organization. In Washington, Eric Phillips, CBN News.
I wanted to bring you this story to show you what's happening and what's happening with NFAC, what's happening with John Johnson and their viewpoint. And we have to listen carefully to what he's saying. The formation of this group is in response to what we're perceiving in our culture. But behind him, and I think let's look past what he's doing, what he's saying he's doing, and look at some ideology that's currently coming out in our culture. Behind John Johnson was a picture, and that picture was of Malcolm X. And you go back to the 1960s and the dichotomy, if you will, between Martin Luther King Jr., emphasizing peaceful protest, emphasizing the need to organize, the need to exercise our political rights, in order to obtain liberty, in order to pass civil rights legislation. That Malcolm X had a completely different view, and his view was by any means necessary. So within that dichotomy of opinion, there was a real broad spectrum, and everything from Black Panthers to, we shall overcome, and locking arms together and marching peacefully through the streets. I would challenge which is more effective and submit that Martin Luther King had a much better idea, and what he learned and what he studied and then what he became certainly changed our culture and changed things to a much better degree. His dream is still unfulfilled. But let's have people of goodwill join together to say, how can we change our culture? How can we do things? Outside of John Johnson, I want to bring this one to you. This is a psychiatrist who spoke to Yale University School of Medicine back in April. And here is the statement from her lecture. I had fantasies of unloading a revolver into the head of any white person that got in my way, burying their body and wiping my bloody hands as I walked away, relatively guiltless with a bounce in my step, like I did the world a favor. Now, that is an extreme statement in defense of that psychiatrist. She's now saying she did it intentionally in order to be provocative and to start the conversation. But that's actually not a good way to start conversations. That's a good way to incite violence, and we can't have this. Look at what's happening in Black Lives Matter, and I'm talking about the overall movement, not the organization. I think the organization is quite clearly a Marxist organization that wants to tear down our culture and our society. They've said that. We need to tear down the white supremacist structure. But Black Lives Matter as a movement, there's two sides of it. One that goes into looting and starting fires and blocking off whole blocks of streets and inner cities. Let's take over Portland. Let's take over Seattle. Let's burn down federal buildings. And then you have the other side, which is walking peacefully, as they did right here in the city of Norfolk, asking for change. And in that peaceful protest, they were definitely joined by white Americans who said, we have a problem. Let us work together to solve our problem. Let us work together that this isn't an aspiration any longer, but this is real, that we can be one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. People of goodwill, please, let's get together to do this. I don't believe anyone should die in police custody. That shouldn't happen any longer. No one like Aubrey should be hunted down with a pickup truck and shot just because he's jogging through a neighborhood. These things shouldn't happen in America. I don't want that kind of America for my children, for my grandchildren, and I don't want it for me either. Let's join together. Let's make a difference. Let's bring liberty. Let's bring equality. And most of all, let's bring justice to our nation. Terry?
Well, still ahead, her mouth hurt so badly she couldn't even eat oatmeal. Every bite caused her entire body to ache. So what cure?